What's cracking, King? We're now listening to Sport and Convos with Eddie and Mike. It's me, Mike, and I'm here with my guy.
What's happening, guys? Eddie P. At your service.
And yeah, this is our second time starting the show. Um, just like the Commanders, man, we are adjusting and trying to recover and rebound off of tough seasons, bro. And I'm gonna just keep it a buck. When you were talking during the start of the first show, you were talking about just pushing through the tough times that you're dealing with right now, um, with your wife and her diagnosis and surgeries that she has to go through. Um, you're leaning on faith and family and friends, and like that's that's commendable. I appreciate that. But you also mentioned how sports and the success that Washington is having or lack thereof is kind of making it harder to enjoy sports. And that's something, unfortunately, that we had to deal with throughout most of our lives.
Yeah.
So I hate to just like start the show off so hot like this, but um, like, how do you think, like, overall, your life is not necessarily better, but do you notice the impact of between when your team is winning or having success on your overall life compared to when they aren't? Because I'm gonna answer the question real quick before I give you the floor.
Gotcha.
Last season, even though like we were having the best season that I've ever experienced, um, it wasn't like life was rosy or whatever. So between the games, like it was like, yeah, we won, but this is still happening, that is still happening. And I think when things are going good and life is like going bad or whatever, it's not a effect or like it doesn't have an effect on me or whatever. But when like we talked about the shutdown the last show and things like that, when you have life situations happening and the team is losing, I think it does have a little effect on me more than when they're succeeding. And that's kind of a weird fan dynamic to have, but it just goes to show you just how impactful sports can be if you let it.
Well, yeah, and I think I would really probably use the word escape. I'll be honest. In my younger days, my wife will even tell you there were times when we first met. Some of my teams would lose a game in any sport that I'm a fan of, and I would just kind of carry a grudge, for a while. And I think working for a public school system and things being so transient, especially for a time I worked very close to Fort Belvoir military base. So we're getting people that are coming and going in terms of their residence here and, being born elsewhere or lived most of their life elsewhere, et cetera. Anywho, so I think some of that plays a factor. But yeah, it's just a nice escape when your team is winning, especially just the success we had when there was essentially like a drought. And don't get me wrong, I still think all in all, we're on the up and up because we do have some good young core players. And although we took a few swings and gave away some draft picks and stuff, um, I think we're still in good shape. But as far as like the effect it has nowadays, like I get bummed. And I think, like you said, when things are tough and you want that escape of how you're seeing your team kind of, at least get the win, if not, dominate. Um, it's awesome. That's what you look forward to. But nowadays, it's just kind of more where I'm like, I really try not to let it affect me because as much as I'm like a big fan, this whole room I'm recording in now is just decked out in DC sports memorabilia. Um, Shout out Don Vito. Anyway, yeah, as much as I'm a diehard fan, like life goes on, and it sounds like that's what's going to happen with with the Commanders here, we got some news, but I believe that's for a later topic. If
Yeah,
you
we'll talk about the Seahawks game as much as we can physically talk about it without throwing up. It's
sheesh,
it's a microcosm of the entire season to me, bro. The
yeah,
defense, the defense. We could talk about the problems of offense we've had all day, but my goodness, man, um, that's that's bringing up the Chiefs game because I don't think we've been on since the Chiefs game. Um, they held them to 7 points in the first half. Cool. They gave up 21 to them in the second half, only to give up another 28 to Seattle in the first half of the next game. And I'm like, it's one thing if the teams are like out scheming us and just like, you know, we're bad because we're bad. But that's not the case. They're bad because they're undisciplined. They're bad because they're unsound. They're bad because they're poorly coached. They're bad because they're slow. And you saw all of that on display
yep,
against the Seahawks on Sunday. And the this was when the season ended to me. The Seahawks score. It just felt like this. And all year felt like the NFC Championship game. Like even the games that we won, like you see things that were happening from the championship game. You're like, Dad, we ain't really improved, have we?
nope,
Um, the Seahawks score, or we stop them, or whatever. All I know is that Lane has the return. He gets the ball and he just goes, and I'm like, well, that can't be good because he ran so fast. It looked like he didn't secure the ball before, like tighten it up before he started running. And I just felt like his ball security was going to be suspect when he entered the power. When sure enough, that's exactly what happened. He fumbles. The
yep.
very next play, the very next play, I'm looking at the bottom of the screen. Jackson Smith and Jigba, I'm sorry. He's at the bottom of the screen, 1-on-1 with Trey Amos. He absolutely undresses that man. I mean, you could not have ran a better route. And I get that Amos is a rookie, but my goodness, he put that man in the blender. Just inside out fade route that was just perfection. Me being a receiver enthusiast, it was an amazing route. I have it on my phone. I'm not going to lie. I have the screen record on my phone. I say all that, but if you notice it, I didn't say that the ball went to him on the play because on the other side of the field, their backup tight end or the backup to the backup tight end because their starter
All
was
three
injured.
tight ends were scoring. It was
And it wasn't even the one that I placed a bet on either. That's amazing.
there's three
So
different tight ends scoring.
he routes up, well, not necessarily routes up, but he beats Owens quickly off the line of scrimmage because Owens is planning to run. And Darnold, to his credit, throws just a beautiful pass right over the shoulder of Owens to the tight end for the touchdown. But I'm like, bruh, the defense, even if they did do good, which I really think it was off a touchdown. I really think it was off a touchdown. But even if it wasn't, the defense couldn't stop a nosebleed. The
Nope.
offense, special teams, they're giving the ball up, which means the defense is getting back on the field quicker, which means they're not rested, which means the opposing team is scoring at will. I don't even what's the last three games? We're talking 44 to Dallas, 28 to the Chiefs, 38 to the Seahawks. That's
Once
just what, and that's it, man. Like we'll talk about what happened at the end of the
44 to the Cowboys, 28 to the Chiefs, 38 to the Seahawks. And, let's face it, like all of those games, we were kind of, those of you who are a little older, you remember the movie Bambi when Bambi was first born. Couldn't really walk, and then when Bambi tried to get on the frozen pond, started slipping and falling. That's us on defense, and I gotta say, I'm not one of those to say fire Dan Quinn, fire Joe Witt, blow it all up. Like, no, I genuinely love the direction we're headed in. I love the guys that we're drafting. I, for the most part, agree with all the moves that we've made. I think this was one of those things where we kind of maybe should have made more adjustments at the end of last year in certain areas that we kind of neglected. Like, I love Bobby Wagner. I got him as an individual defensive player on my fantasy team. But let's face it, man, like his better days are behind him, you know? His best days, whatever, however the saying goes. But it's not just to pick on him. There's other guys. Certainly the injuries haven't helped. But you know what? Like what, Peter Griffin voice, what grinds my gears? Like, I mean it. We have a defensive-minded head coach, and our defense is. I get it. It's only year two, and we had all that success in year one, but our defense has just been trash. Like, I'm sorry to say, the
I mean,
Lattimore
hold
thing,
on,
I'm not
real
mad
quick.
at Lattimore, like at the attempt, because hey, it didn't work out. Hey, you thought he would, get healthy, quicker, and maybe add a little fire, some veteran leadership there, and it just didn't work out. I'm
But
fine with
hold on,
that,
real
but
quick.
what?
You said it's year two of the defense of a defensive head coach team,
Yeah.
bruh. Seattle is in year two of a defense of a head coach team, and they're like the third best defense in the league. So we can't
Thank
even give
you.
them like we can't. I'm not giving them that because and it's a first year head coach
Yeah,
with a
but Mike,
defensive
that just
coordinator that you probably should
reflects my
have picked.
point.
But
I was just trying to be a
anyway,
little bit understanding because,
no, heck no, forget that.
yeah.
The time for understanding was gone after the NFC Championship game.
And just the whole thing bums me out. There was nothing in that game, in my opinion, that went on right. Generally, I would say like at least there was that effort, that rallying to the ball, things like that. Nah, man. I mean, you watch late in that game, not even late. Like we kind of threw in the towel, just started going through the motions. That's why they saw the weakness. That's why they brought in 3 different tight ends that caught touchdown passes after is it Holt? Was that the guy's name? He caught the first 2. And then yeah, and Darnold was like perfect, I think, for majority of the game, if not the whole game.
I think he started off like 17 for 17.
Something crazy like that. No cap, as the kids say. And you know what's crazy? I just want to throw this random thing out there since we brought up Sam Darnold, and I want this approach to be used on both sides of the spectrum when we talk about Washington and the direction they're headed and all those kind of things. Sam Darnold's doing pretty well in Seattle. Baker Mayfield's doing pretty well in Tampa. Daniel Jones is doing pretty well in Indianapolis. Now, don't be wrong, we I'm pretty sure both of us, if memory serves correctly, I know I did. We talked on this show before this season started, and we were like, "Oh boy, they're going to ride Jonathan Taylor into the ground. He's going to have so many carries, and that'll be great. But that team's going to be, the offense. Who knows?" Daniel Jones has played great. So sometimes all you need is the right situation, the right coaching. I don't say that to say that we should make coaching changes necessarily, but I'm just pointing out that sometimes, whether it's Jayden or anybody else in our team, maybe, Ben Sinnott, everybody's been clamoring for like, what's going on with that? Because now Ertz is getting hurt. Like, you would think like he'd be ready to be the guy, and crickets, right? So with that kind of mentality, maybe Ben Sinnott does well in a different offense, like with a different coach. Not saying trade him, but yeah, I just want to throw
No, I
those things
agree.
out there so people keep an open mind in terms of like how they view players and coaches too. Sometimes the players aren't. Sometimes they don't listen. I don't know.
I see what you're saying. So we made it this far without even bringing up the Bama's name,
Yeah.
surprisingly. At the end of the game with Washington down 38-7,
I mean, I did bring
um,
it a little
Jayden Daniels,
bit.
he scrambled on the read option pass that he probably should have handed off. Pressure was in his face. He scrambles. He breaks his elbow. Well, not breaks it. Oh yeah, he broke it. It's dislocated.
Dislocated was
Um,
the term used.
a couple of ligaments torn, but no complete tear of the bone. So um, I always thought that the injury wasn't that bad because it wasn't a knee injury or leg injury, and it's the opposing hand. So the fact that he got the good news that he got, it confirms what I always thought, that this is like a 3 to 5 week injury or 3 to 6 week injury. I'm sorry, and that he might actually come back at the end of the season. So I'll ask you this before we move on to the Lions game: do you want him to play again this year?
I'm mostly in the no group. I just, man. So I get it. It seems like he's some sort of like superhuman. He's some kind of Gumby or something. His arm just, no ligaments torn, nothing. Like, I don't know what it is. I have some beef about why he was still in the game in the first place. And I also completely understand those in the camp that want to talk about, well, he needs to keep playing, he needs those reps and this and that. I don't know that that's the right thing to do with the way the team is now. Like who do we have at receiver? Debo, who I don't think is that healthy. And by the way, if you watch on that play, I'm not saying it was like a guaranteed completion, but I'm telling you, it was in the higher percentage. When Jayden comes off that sort of read option, it's a pass play. Debo's open in the end zone. Essentially, like those of you, think basketball terms, he's basically got his guy posted up. Like if you look for a second. So I don't know if there's a trust issue. And again, this is not like, hey, guaranteed completion, but I'd give it like a 60, 75 maybe tops completion, chance of being completed rather. And he didn't throw it. And I don't want to be like, oh, trying to like create some kind of controversy or throw shade, but sometimes I wonder how much it's getting in his head that he has to carry the team. Because you think about it, he had all that time while Terry was holding out or holding in, and him and Debo were building continuity. But at the same time, you look at guys like De'Ami Brown and Zacchaeus and even Jamison Crowder. It's almost looking like maybe he sort of misses those guys. Like not that he's saying that or that this is, again, some kind of soap opera like drama being built up. But clearly, like the plays those guys were helping make, like they're not there now. And I think at least I'm pretty sure Zacchaeus, I think De'Ami Brown's been a little bit injured, but they're both doing okay in their respective situations. So I don't know, man. As far as Jayden playing, I guess, but it's got to be on a snap count. And no disrespect, but I want him playing against some of the easier opponents. I don't want him. I'm sorry, man. Like we gotta like if we want this kid to be the future, like we're gonna have to protect him from himself. I love the mentality and all that, play hurt and blah. I get it, bro. We need you for other battles, other wars, whatever analogy you want to use. So it's a very like I'm shaky on this one. Yes, but begrudgingly, I guess is where I'm gonna. After all the rambling, I'll go with yeah. He can play some.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat, honestly, bro. Like I could see it, and I could see it either way, and wouldn't mind. either way. But he won't be available for Sunday against the Lions, and it's crazy. That game was supposed to be like Fox's national game of the week or whatever. We supposed to get Brady and what's his name or whatever, but
Kevin Harlan,
obviously, obviously they're like, why send our best to the game? That's going to most likely be a slaughter. So we get the bums. So we get did they announce them yet? Yeah, we get Kenny Albert and Jonathan Vilma. That's not a bad backup. But yeah, the national game is the Rams and 49ers. We might be talking about the Rams later. I don't know, bro. It's the Lions. They might be banged up a little bit on the offensive line, but the defense is so trash. It doesn't matter. Joe Witt Jr. is coming down to the field from the coach's box to coach the defense starting next week. And I'm like, what's that going to matter? He gets a closer look at the trash. That's what it feels like. What? Like, I understand the communication might be a little bit easier and quicker, but I'm like, we're so past that. So, and like you said earlier, losing Lattimore, Quan Martin's banged up. Jonathan Jones, I know he just came back from injury, but that's the thing. He just came back from injury. So he might not be 100% himself. We're not getting pass rush. I just feel like the Lions, bro, man, it can get ugly.
Yeah, you focus on St. Brown, they're gonna. I really think that you're gonna see a lot of Sam Laporta. We just don't have, we don't have the personnel to really cover him. I think Sam will still do an okay job at times, but it's a mismatch, whether it's a backer or whether it's a DB. And then, as soon as they really focus in on that, you got Amon-Ra St. Brown, you got Jameson Williams. Is it Jameson Williams or is it Williamson? It's Williams, right? Either way, you got the kid from Alabama, super fast, actually really athletic, and they used to use him in a lot of ways when Ben Johnson was there last year. End arounds and all. He did one against us actually before the infamous celebration. Anyway, so you got those three guys in terms of passing, but the Lions actually really run the ball a lot with Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery. Both of those guys can catch out of the backfield. I know Penny Sewell might be a little dinged up. You had mentioned, I'm guessing you were talking about him as well as a few others that might be hurt on the O-line. But yeah, they can torch you in a variety of ways. That it's pick your poison. So hopefully we do come out fired up. I don't know about Joe Witt coming down from the booth and being on the field. Apparently that was his idea, not Dan Quinn's. I'm sure Quinn, is like
I swear they be lying. They be lying like a bird. I know. I saw his press conference. So I was like,
"Oh, you think Dan Quinn said to get down on the field?"
Yeah, man.
Oh, okay.
Like, get your butt down.
Listen, Mike, I'm reporting what's being reported.
No, I know. I saw the press conference. Like, whoever, like, I don't know if you listened to Grant and Danny and they said it on there, but yeah, whoever said it, they're not lying. He did say that he went to Dan Quinn, and he might have. He has no reason to lie, but I feel like he's lying.
He has no reason to lie, but he's lying. I love it. Love it. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not going to put anything past anyone these days. So it's not something that's terribly controversial, but you would think it might be like have a little more flair to it if it really was Dan Quinn's idea and he was just like, trying to make some kind of adjustment, because you didn't really see anything on Sunday, like nothing. There was no sort of like, we're going to try to do this or that. Like, this is a minor adjustment, but for whatever reason, at least in my opinion, it's paying somewhat dividends. So Ashton Genty, I don't know, like they talked about this on the Sunday night game. He used to kind of stand really tall in college, Like the running back kind of stance is sort of like
Michael
a
Myers stance.
yeah. He stood real tall, which was a little bit different than most running backs. You kind of sit in like more of like a linebacker kind of half squat, hands on your hips or hands on your legs, ready to go. And the Raiders were trying to get him to do that, and it wasn't working. And what did they do? Oh, hey, let's let him try to do the thing he likes to do. Give him some input. And now, at least from what I've seen, his numbers are better. He's getting touchdowns. There's production. I wish to God we would do that. And maybe we are, and the players aren't taken to it, or maybe it's like we have too many veterans who are stuck in their ways kind of thing. I don't know. But it just seems like, oh, hey, here's a problem. Oh, that one isn't that solution isn't working. Let me try this. It's basically, you got a leak and you're like, all right, well, I tried duct tape, that didn't work. I tried Gorilla Glue. That didn't work. Let me try this. Like, you're not going to keep trying the duct tape if it didn't work, right? No disrespect to duct tape. So, yeah, that's just where I'm at. Like, make an adjustment. Do something.
All right, Bahamas. This week's Eddie and Mike's prediction for the Commanders. It's definitely your turn, bro. So what's going to happen Sunday?
42-10. We're getting demolished because they remember last year. All of them guys remember last year, and they're relatively healthy compared to us, especially. So, and they're coming to Washington. Oh yeah, right. It's in. Are we not?
Yeah, it's in DC.
Okay,
I'm so glad that you mentioned last year, because when we beat them in the playoffs last year, everybody kept repeating, kept saying, well, they weren't healthy. They were missing all these pieces. And if they were healthy, this, and if they were healthy, that. Well, congratulations. We're in the same position now as y'all.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We're missing everybody, even more than you are. At least y'all had Goff and Amon-Ra. We're missing Brown. We're missing our own Brown. We're missing Daniels. We're missing McLaurin. We're missing Eckler. We're missing Wise. We're missing Harris. We're missing, name them. Tunsil's out, I think, on Sunday. We're missing everybody. Not only does the team suck, but a lot of the good players are injured. So what you want me to be like Vegas and say that the spread is 8.5 points? They tripping. I don't know what the heck they've been watching over the last 3 weeks to say that this game is an 8.5 point spread. Like, they're bonkers, young. I think it's going to be close to Seattle, maybe. So I'll say 41-17.
Take all the dramatics and pun intended flair out of it. You being a wrestling fan, I kind of feel like this is that scene where Shawn Michaels looks at Ric Flair, who's just completely beat up and just done. Is like, come on, like a Rocky kind of situation. And Shawn Michaels hits him with the sweet chin music. Now, again, minus all that dramatics and flair that happened with that scene, those of you who know what I'm talking about, that's what the Lions are going to do to us. That's
oh my goodness.
We're Ric Flair. Michaels is the Lions. That's 100% what is going to happen to us. I get all this crap from my brother and other friends, whether it relates to fantasy, because if so facto, my backup quarterback is Jared Goff, and I have Amon-Ra St. Brown. I'm going to start him on Sunday. Our defense is trash. I'm trying to win some money here.
What?
All right? So
you didn't think I put a nice 8-leg parlay on the Lions for Sunday? I did one for the Chiefs. I won.
Yeah.
I did one for the Seahawks. I won. What?
Yeah.
That's easy money. That's why I said Vegas tripping. Anyway, I digress.
Yeah.
Let's talk some basketball real quick. I don't know what the score ended up being, but the Wizards were playing. Was it the Bucks? No, the Cavaliers.
Cleveland Cavaliers.
The Wizards were playing the Cavaliers.
14, Michelangelo.
Yeah, I was going to say,
by 34 points.
thank goodness that's over. Um, but we weren't even going to talk about the game, so let's not talk about the game. I didn't watch it anyway, so I don't care. I actually wanted to talk about the youth movement that I've seen from the Wizards so far this season. Let's start off with the leading point scorer on the team right now. That's Alexander Czar. He's averaging 19. He dropped a smooth, 25 tonight?
20,
Uh,
20 points,
20.
4 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 steal, 4 blocks.
Yeah, and that kind of goes to what I was going to say about him. He's the third fastest player to reach, I forgot what was it, 1,000 points? 100.
1,000 points, 100 threes, and 100 blocks.
Yeah, so I was right. 1,000 points, 100 threes, 100 blocks. The only two that did that quicker were Wembanyama and Chet Holmgren.
Correct.
So he's in some good company, and
Yep.
it just goes to show you that the pick isn't as bad as everybody thought it was going to be. He's developing into a nice offensive player, and the defense has already been there. Like he's averaging 2.3 blocks a game. Like Edward said earlier, he had 4 tonight. I really, really like what he's growing to. The other player, Keyshawn George, he's a scorer. Like he's a nice scorer. He might not be a leading like Robin or a 2B player or whatever. Like he's more of a rotation player for a championship contender, I believe, at least at this moment. But it's only his second year, so he's young. But outside of those two, kind of disappointed in everybody else. Um, really, really thought that Carrington would have more of a impactful year. And I know it's only been like 8 games or whatever, but still, I expected to see more out of him, especially with how he ended the last year. And Trey Johnson, I just feel like I'm looking for him, man. Oh, he's the fourth leading scorer on the team.
There's Waldo thing going on there.
He's still learning. Like he has a lot to learn. And speaking of learning, Koulibaly, he just came back from a season-ended injury from last year. He played. This is 5th game tonight, so
He did not play.
Oh, he didn't even play.
No, they held him out. But I mean,
Ooh.
you're absolutely correct. You got a youth movement, and it's just going to be a lot of growing pains. The only thing I would say is just really try to keep a lot of these guys. Obviously, you got some vets that you brought in there to kind of maybe be a good example, like McCollum and Middleton, and what's homeboy's name that played for Boston and Memphis, Oklahoma State cat.
Marcus Smart.
Yeah, yeah. You got those guys. So, kind of lean on them a little bit. But, you mentioned all of them. I'll tell you one that I think is super talented. Obviously, SAR should be heavily invested in when you look at, the potential and, his size. But Keyshawn George, for sure, man. I know everybody's a big Bub Carrington fan, and I think Bub's really talented too. I'm not like at all overlooking him or anything. I'm saying Bub, Keyshawn, SAR, all 3 of those guys for sure we need to keep. Like we need to really invest in, try to develop, try to build around them. And I'll be honest, I don't watch Wizards as much as I used to. I was trying to catch a little bit tonight, but I was also trying to check out my Jayhawks, who unfortunately lost to North Carolina, but it's all good. And also, man, but just being a parent, dude, it's just tough. Like I end up more just kind of like doing what I'm doing now, where I'm looking at like.
Oh no, I'm talking about the Jayhawks losing to the Tar Heels.
Well, that's the first time that's happened in forever. They beat up on the ACC. They beaten Duke like 5 times. They beat North Carolina like at least 4 of the last 5. One was in the national championship. So I'm just saying. But anyway, we're talking about the Wizards, who I don't really think. No, they definitely don't have any Jayhawks in their team, but that's okay. We love them just the same. But yeah, we got to stay heavily invested in that youth movement, man. And I look forward to checking them out. as the season goes on and I actually get the opportunity. But it's good for them, the adversity and all, but it's going to be a rough stretch in the East when you got to play like the Cavaliers, the Celtics, the Bucks, the Sixers, Pacers. It's a lot of Orlando's even getting a lot better. The Raptors still kind of like sneaky tough. There's a lot of good teams in these. Chicago's tough. Detroit's got a decent squad. I'm actually kind of watching them versus the Nets right now. Yeah, so there's a
That
lot of
game
tough.
must be late.
It's about to be over.
About to say.
There's like 9 seconds left.
I
So
was about to say, what the heck?
yeah. Anywho, all I'm saying, man, a lot of tough teams in the East. So these young guys are going to get a lot of good looks from a variety of good players and good teams, and it'll be good for them. But growing pains are definitely going to be there this season, maybe even next season.
Yeah. And to make matters worse, the Wizards got blew out tonight.
Oh yeah.
The Hoyas beat the Terps by 10. It's gonna be a long weekend for me.
Where do you draw the are you Terps over Hoyas on that? I'm sorry.
Yeah, what you mean?
But aren't you from DC? So shouldn't Georgetown's in DC?
Yeah, but Georgetown is racist.
Okay.
The area is kind of racist. Well, not kinda. They're racist, bro. I mean, I'm gonna be going around just throwing that out there like that. Alabama's racist now. Like, good luck walking the streets without walking into some type of trouble. Well, not trouble necessarily, but yeah, they racial profile out there heavy. And historically speaking, I ain't trying to go down a rabbit hole or whatever, but the main reason there's no metro rail in Georgetown isn't because of the tunnel system or agriculture or this or whatever. They don't want it down there because they know it'll attract low income people or whatever. And yeah, they just don't want that type of crowd in Georgetown. So yeah, gotcha. I know. And on top of all that, my sister graduated from there and definitely not rocking with her. But I digress like a mud. Let's get on out of here, bro. With this last topic, we're a little bit halfway past the season, so I need from you, while you're talking about it, I'm gonna think about it. AFC Championship representatives at the moment and NFC Championship representatives at the moment.
My God. Oh my gosh. Gotta think of the way everybody's playing right now and everything. AFC Chiefs. I mean, you can't discount the Chiefs. Chiefs Bills. Sorry to take the easy way out. The Ravens are just too banged up. And Denver's sneaky. It was tough for me to kind of pick but if I'm going Denver and Kansas City, you can kind of see why I'd favor Kansas City. They've done it before. There's sort of that, not just familiarity, but Reed, Mahomes, Kelsey. You got a lot of the same guys doing the same stuff over and over again. But I wouldn't be surprised if the Bills, finally broke through. It seems like they've been kind of doing their own thing. They almost same way the Ravens built their team. The Bills didn't really, whatever. We'll keep moving on. NFC, this one's even tougher because it's going to be similar, the same way I picked the Chiefs. It's kind of hard to count against the Eagles. Got one of the best O-lines, one of the best D-line. When healthy, you got all those weapons. You got Saquon. You got a quarterback who can run and throw decent. They do that tush push thing, which is pretty much unguardable, even though they're basically cheating every time they do it. Somebody's moving. They're either moving the ball, they're lined up over top of the ball, which is like a offensive offsides, if that's a thing. The guards move, there's all kinds of penalties that happen. But either way, they do it and it can't be stopped. So when you have all those things, hard to count against the Eagles. Same way, hard to count against the Chiefs. So we'll do Eagles. Rams.
Sam, I was about to say, you better Sam. You better
I mean,
Sam.
they're kind of really starting to come into form. Puka Nakua just seems to be like some sort of animal out there. Matt Stafford is an ageless wonder. He's got a pretty good arm there. Just a laser rocket arm. Just Devontae Adams. He's starting to get comfortable. He's like the king of like 5 or less yard touchdowns. You know what I mean? like, um, Anywho, they got that, and then they got some young guys, Verse, and I'm not going to pretend to know the names of the other guys, but that defense is it's almost like the no name defense. Like, no disrespect to any of them, but they're not big names.
They
But
got some
man,
names.
they play well. They
They
play
got
well.
Cam
Oh,
Curl. They got Emmanuel Forbes. They got Brian Robinson. Jared
Brian
Verse.
Robinson, the dude who used to play for the Commanders, he's not with the 49ers.
No,
Different.
Brian Robinson, Brayn.
Oh, okay.
He's a defensive lineman for them.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. And then I forgot to mention Kyron Williams. He can catch and run between the tackles. They're a solid team. And Sean McVay's just an offensive wizard. And like I said, when you got a guy like Stafford who's got a ridiculous arm and is starting to throw those no look passes now, and his just overall NFL experience that comes into play, they're tough, man. And they had Philly beat if it wasn't for that blocked field goal. It was a crazy play. So
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm looking at the group, and somebody just posted that boy Caleb Wilt.
huh?
That boy Caleb. Somebody posted that boy Caleb Wilson hard.
Caleb Wilson. Who's that?
I don't
Caleb
know who. I don't know who it is, but
making
the
names.
first reply, was Daniel talking about some AO. I'm sorry, y'all. That caught me off guard. But yeah, I'm with you with all 4 of those teams. I really can't disagree. I do feel like we're for a collision course of the Chiefs, Bills, and the Eagles, Rams. But because we feel that way, I assure you that it won't go that way. 1 or 2 of those teams will not be making the conference championship. And if I had to guess, honestly, I'm gonna say it's the Chiefs and Eagles. I do feel like it's some chink in the armor in both of those teams, man. And for as
Nothing
dominant as
lasts
they look, huh?
Nothing lasts forever.
Yeah, and for as
So
dominant as they've been looking, I just feel like it's teams in their conference that their respective conference that are sleeping giants. No pun intended, because the Giants are not one of those teams. But I do feel like the Rams, the Buccaneers, the Vikings, the Lions, the 49ers, the Seahawks, those are some beast teams. And the Eagles, I don't know. They might not be able to make it this time, because these are some beast teams in the NFC. Same in the AFC. The Bills just lost to the Chiefs. The Ravens are lurking. The Colts have suddenly, they're the 1 seed right now. The Chargers are lurking. The Broncos, I know their opposition hasn't been the best. 7-2 is 7-2. Shut up. And yeah, like, you can't sleep on them. Even the Steelers, they might not win a division no more, but they'll always be a sneaky team when you got Aaron Rodgers as your quarterback and Mike Tomlin as your head coach. I'm never going to count you out. So yeah, it's a lot for the Chiefs and the Eagles, I feel like, to make it back to the Super Bowl. Can they do it? Of course they can. Eagles been 2 times in the last 3 seasons. Chiefs, what, 4, 5 straight, or at least 5 out of the last 6 or whatever, something crazy like that. So yeah, I can't disagree with that, bro. And with all of that being said, held y'all longer than I wanted to, but it happens. It kind of was expected. I work on CP time. I'm sorry about that. But that's all I got in me this week. Anything else, bro, before we get on out of here?
No, no, just thankful for another day and hopeful for another one after that. So thanks again to everybody who listens. We appreciate you and we hope you're doing well. Yeah. Good morning. Good night. You're welcome.